I want to welcome everyone to the last session of the year, 2024. How about it? Unbelievable. Welcome. We are going to talk about the connectors today, part of the Access Hub, the Power BI connector, and the Excel connector. And we'll take a look at both of those and how you can tap those into the Stratum data. Talk a little bit about the Stratum Data Hub initially. What is Power BI, if you're not currently familiar with that? How to use it to connect to Stratum, how to leverage some of the views or some custom views that you might want to put together. What do those look like? And then we'll segue into the Excel connector from there. We'll see how we can get data directly into Excel without having to go to the interface to download it. And obviously, we'll go into a demo. And if you have questions, feel free to use the chat. I'll try to keep tabs on that to see if there's any questions. Um, Data Hub, well, we can see that this will be part of the Access Hub today, and we'll be addressing the Excel add-in and the Power BI connector as well. But as you can see, if you license the Access Hub, you do get email distribution as part of the features as well. So you can email reports out to your users and create alerts. Power BI, well, if you don't know what Power BI, you might want to step out of that cave that you're living in because it's very pretty ubiquitous. It's getting very ever present as we go throughout the time. It's become way more popular. It's got a really good community out there, um, and the visualizations are good. They're nice. So and they're fully customizable. Provides simple collaboration. Um, if you need to put together something that you're looking for specifically that may not be a part of Stratum, certainly this might help, might do that job. So it is a Microsoft product. There's a free version where you can actually download the Power BI Designer and you can play around with it. But you do need a license from us in order to get access to the connector for these Excel and Power BI. So, and you can talk with me if you don't know where you stand in terms of the licensing. I can certainly answer those questions, and I'll give you my contact information at the end of the session. The Power BI desktop will sit in between, or you'll basically install that into the designer. It is a small setup file that you'll download from us. We have provide instructions as well so that you can get that downloaded. So that becomes your middleware connection piece to the Stratum viewer interface. So you can tap into the views, essentially getting to the data within Stratum. Here is a snapshot of what that navigator looks like when you're connecting within Power BI to our views. You can search for keywords. If there's certain, like a prefix that you're using for these views, or maybe there's a view out there that you have in mind that you want to use already. Pretty easy to find them. You can just type in the name of the view and they'll pop up to the top. Um, Power BI, as usual, it'll show you the preview of the data before you load it into the interface. And we'll go through this in the demo so you can kind of get a feel for how this works. Here we are. Once we do load it in, it becomes essentially almost like a table, essentially. Uh, and then you can expand it and get access to all the different fields within that view that you are connecting to within the Power BI interface. And from there, you can build your visualizations. As we can see, there's all kinds of different types of bar, combinational heat maps, line, area, you name it. Normally they'll have it. Cards, which I like, that present the data at aggregate numeric fashion. A lot of cool stuff that may not even be aware of course, because it's a very deep visualization reporting product. So a lot of cool stuff that you can do. Likewise with Excel, you can do the same thing. We also have an Excel add-in where you can tap in to that. With that one, you can actually download directly from the Microsoft Store, and you can load that in directly from your Excel interface. Same concept here. You know, you'll connect to the Stratum views. You'll provide the URL to Stratum so that you can then connect into Stratum, gain access to the views in this basically the same manner. And with Excel, of course, Excel's not going anywhere. It's been around in the business world for many years now. So we felt that it was necessary to provide a connector piece that you could tap into using Excel as well. And with that, there's a Microsoft semantic layer that is there with Stratum and Power BI, and Excel taps into that as well. Things you can do within Excel, similar to Power BI, it's got some really cool visualization features, pivot tables, of course. You could just basically build out your report directly within Excel without having to go to directly into Stratum and download the data from there. That's not really necessary once you have the Excel connector piece. Okay, so that's my name. That's my email, phone number. If you want to call, that'd be great. And contact me if you have any questions. If you want to know, if you're licensed for this, if you want a deeper dive into it, a demo, I'd be glad to show you around. All right. Getting into the demo piece, let's go into the Power BI connector. So here I've got an example of a Power BI report, and we can see here that I've already tapped into Stratum, so we can see that trying to get this to show everything. There we go. So, oh gosh, it did something. There we go. This report here we've kind of put together using our Stratum Power BI connector. We tapped into the views that I have available. We've got a comparative sales report view. I've also got another view here that's providing the data in a trend style fashion so that I can see a line style report, a trending report for my categories, my brands. And from here we can see the cards that are in place for year to date. I'm doing about 4.27 mil, rolling 3 month, 1.7 average. We got a current month of about a half a mil. We can see Patrick here and Nicole. They're doing some good business for the sales reps out there. There's some of my top reps with the bigger tiles. Up top, we can see that this year versus last rolling, we're doing good. We're up, and we can see the numbers by simply hovering over that. And Power BI does a great job. Obviously, you highlight something, it adjusts the numbers accordingly, so that all the visualizations kind of show you what you just clicked on for Farm Fresh. We can see Farm Fresh sales is basically 1.4 million of that 4 mil. All the reps are selling the product quite nicely. Some of the reps need a little help in terms of these numbers are a little small here. So cool stuff, right? That's Power BI. It does a lot of really good, fantastic visualizations. But you're not going to get this until you tap into organized data that have relationships, i.e., Stratum. So, and that's really why you're able to tap into these views. As you can see, we were able to put these together quite easily just by looking at two views, essentially. So, really cool stuff. And we can also provide a drill through button so that you can drill to some detail behind the scenes. If you want to drill to get more product related detail, maybe drill to invoices, type of detail that you wouldn't typically want to include into the Power BI interface. So, so we have a nice little method or way to take your users into Stratum seamlessly so that they can get to that detail. Before we do that, let's see how we do connect to Stratum. Once we have the plugin installed, we can go to get data as we normally would to tap into any data source within the Power BI interface. And we can go to the more area, which is where it's installed under other. And there it is. So you can connect to the Sylvan Stratum Views connector. And once we make that connection, it will ask for the URL. So we want to go out and grab that. Make sure we put that in. So we'll go get that. copy and paste that in, and yeah, provide that information as well. And then we make our connection um, into the views. So now it's actually connecting, and there they are. So from the get-go, I've got a list of all the views that are available within my Stratum interface, and then if I look for those Power BI reports that I want to tap into and find them, highlight them, um, you know, Power BI shows you the preview of the data. You like it, you load it, and it becomes another table within your interface. It's actually loading that, even though I already have it. I can always delete it. So, and there it is. So now I've got another comparative sales table there that I could tap into. It's essentially the same one. So as the one we're using. So that's why I put a little two there. So easy, right? I mean, that's the way you tap into the views. Pretty simple. You save this, it remembers it. You build your customizations off of it. Once you have the data here, it's all Power BI, right? I mean, if I wanted to add in another visualization, I would have to, of course, make some room for it, and make a quick pie chart, as an example. You know, just using Power BI. If I wanted to use sales amount year to date this year versus last, I can highlight those, do something like that. Or if I just want to do this year by division or by product category, up to you. As you can see, it's pretty simple to use once you get the view connected and into the designer. So it dare I say it can be fun sometimes when you play with this stuff. It's I like it. So anyway, you would save that, publish it up to the cloud when you're ready to make it available to the users. Then this report then becomes available up in the cloud so that users can tap into it. They will be able to get to the report, do all the things that they're doing, that you provide for them here, and be able to drill through. They do have to be a user of Stratum to use the drill through button so that they can get access to that, um, and get to the detail as well. So pretty simple to do. And the drill through button, if we wanted to see how that works, like for instance, if I want to see Patrick Hurley, I'll then click on, we could see Patrick doing pretty good business here, good numbers. But I only know so much, right? I don't know. Certainly Farm Fresh is his top brand, what products he might be selling. I could have a drill down here, and I can drill down on it. But it gets a little cumbersome once you start doing combinational drill downs like Farm Fresh for Patrick Hurley, at least for this particular visualization. Um, but maybe I wanted to see invoice level detail or ship to, again, a lot of detail. Here's where I can then click on the drill through button. It will then take me to Stratum. It'll pass along Patrick Hurley's ID so that I'm basically just looking at Patrick's numbers here. And when I drill from, maybe I just want to see all the products that Patrick's selling, and this is a fair amount of data that might not look great in a Power BI desktop report. Um, might be too much data. So this is why I can seamlessly then jump from the Power BI report right directly into Stratum. For instance, if I wanted to see Nicole in the same manner, I can then jump to Nicole's report, and then I can see that Nicole is struggling a little bit. We can see she's 40% year to date down. We can sort this in ascending fashion to see the biggest gap here, and what brands and products or customers might be a good thing to look at here. Why is she down so bad here? And we can see that Wilder Food, she lost a customer, at least for this brand. So that's not great. As a matter of fact, she's growing for that one customer, but the other one it fell off. So that's not great. We know a lot more here by making the detail available. Something that I may not be able to get here within the Power BI report. Yeah, it's pretty. It's got really cool visualizations, but from a business perspective, it's not the complete story. Okay. Same thing for Excel. You can download. As a matter of fact, Excel's more robust in my opinion. I think that only reason I say that is because, I've seen a lot of they've increased their amount of rows that you could put into it. It's powerful. Pivot tables. I don't know if it scales better. There's a case to be made for that, perhaps. Neither one of them scale great. I mean, once you get over, several hundred thousands of rows of data, you're going to find that they're going to start lagging on you. So the drill through, that's why you have to find a fine line between what you can bring down and what you want to make available to drill through to. Here, I can see that I'm downloading sales history. I can once you have the plugin in Excel loaded, you'll get a Stratum menu where you can go in and get Stratum data. It'll ask you for the URL. I've already input that, but here I can look for these same views in the same manner and dump those down if I wanted to. As a matter of fact, I'm using a sales plan view that I'm using. So if I want to go out and look for that, I can then type that in and get that same data, right? So I've already done that. I've imported my sales plan, or at least what I want to use for sales plan data. It comes down as this. It's basically sales history. And we can see by region, sold to, product brand, product. And then this file is a time series file where I've got time going across in a horizontal fashion. And then I've got all my historical sales data here that I can use to make my budget or forecast. I might want to manually adjust some of these numbers or maybe increase them by certain percentages. Excel provides the ability to do that pretty easily. But again, I don't have to do anything here. Once I save this, it'll remember the view that you're tapped into. You can even go into settings and set up, make sure that it will refresh the data when you open the file. So that's on by default anyway. So just so you know. And there's the URL in case it ever changes. You can, um, update it as needed. What's cool about this is that I can actually upload data into Stratum from here. Once I make my adjustments, if I want to go into an upload mode and then just dump this data right back into Stratum. So I can go ahead and import the data using the Analyst Hub, which is the piece that you would use to actually import data into. So now it's actually taking me from Excel into my import menu so that I can then go ahead and import my sales plan from Excel that I've just got that data down from Stratum. So now I'm actually importing it into my sales plan. So now I've got to fill out as I told you, it's a time series file. I've got a header and my time frames are on that header in that type of format. So I'll go ahead and dump that file up, and we can see here that I got some mapping to do. So if I want to tell it what dimensions these are, I can do my mappings for my dimensions and do the necessary mappings here to make sure that the data gets uploaded accordingly to their proper dimensions. And so you would go in and make these associations. Here we can see I'm ignoring the descriptive columns because I don't need to necessarily load those in. I just need the keys to get that in. The descriptions, we know they're there. We just downloaded them. So no need to import those. And again, I would just finish out my mapping and then do an upload and store this data accordingly. So I ignore these attribute columns for product. Here's my horizontal buckets of data for my plan. These would be a measure, and then I would just go ahead and put that and dump that into sales plan, and so on and so forth. Right? I would just keep on mapping this out, and when you're done, you go ahead and submit it. Click on the submit button. It'll tell you, yeah, it's going to take a little time. You want to go ahead and kick it off, and then you can go ahead and you'll get an email when it's ready, and then you can once you have it, you can then go in and take a look at your uploaded plan. And there it is. There's my plan. that I just uploaded from Excel, and now I can do the necessary comparisons. We know that we have that data at product brand and product, and we can do maybe we sort this in descending fashion so we can see some of the top brands and how we're doing versus that plan. This is for December, so maybe we want to make that for September as well, so that we can get a fair comparison. And we're still doing pretty crappy. So we can adjust those numbers as needed. We're missing our numbers badly. It's demo data, folks. But and I can, maybe I'm modeling this out for the next year. I can dump this into 25. There's a lot of things I can do. But this is live data. This is the actual data that it works incredibly seamlessly, and it will load in the data real time. So once you get the email, you're ready to go in literally in minutes, depending, right, how much data you're loading in. But yeah, it does a really good job with loading that in. So um and so that's all, derived and created by dumping data down, massaging it, and then loading it back into the interface so that you can get it stored back in within Stratum. Um, is there a question from somebody? Yes. When you switched for a view and still on it, yes, it does. So yeah, you got to be careful with that. As a matter of fact, you want to make sure that, for instance, if we were to take a look at some of the views that we're using for these reports, I'll show you, for instance, this Power BI report. Um, if I were to change anything here, for instance, any of my column headings, they're static. So we're not really allowing or anything to change. We know that these headings over here will stay static unless somebody goes into the connector and changes it. You can right click these and change them too. If I go into the caption expression, I can see how it's using the smart name there, but I can overwrite that with anything if I wanted to. And if that happens and somebody saves that and that's connected to a PBI report, it's going to break. Okay. So you might want to have a library of users out there that you know, or I'm sorry, a library of views that you'll lock down and have those specifically created for the connectors. As you can see, the view itself, it's very flat in nature. I'm drilled into all my dimensions so that that data comes down when I tap into it. If I were to aggregate this up to division and tap into it again, if I were to save this, I'm only going to get division data. I'm not going to see region, salesperson. Well, we might get that question. As a matter of fact, I know we've got it before. They're like, "Where's all my levels?" And then we'll take a look at the view, and we can see that indeed it would be something similar here, where they would be. It's they haven't drilled into their detail all the way into all their levels, right? Like I'm doing now. Another thing you'll notice is totals are disabled. I don't want to bring the totals down. They'll come as another record, and I just don't want to clean it up in Power BI. So I just make this essentially a raw. I see it's very raw, right? In terms of no column, no subtotaling, no grand totaling. It's almost like you're creating a table. So, is there another question? No way. Unbelievable. Yeah, exactly. Static headers, Ashley, would be the way to do that. So it's the only way to get around that. These are static. So if I were to look like into the properties of these, we've gone into the caption expression and we've even though we are using the smart measure, that's fun, that normally won't change because that's in the connector. Normally people won't change that unless they go into the header of the view itself and change it. But in terms of the time range, we're saying that instead of the rolling time frame. We're actually just saying, hey, this is a rolling three for last year, rolling 3 month last year, or however you want to describe that. So if we were to look at the other ones like year to dates, instead of the time frame, we're just static. We're putting in static language there to tell the user what it represents. Okay. All right. That's the connectors. That's how you would use Power BI and Excel to make that connection into Stratum. You got a flavor for what the view should look like, how to avoid some of the pitfalls of the column headers changing. So yeah, you wanna keep an eye on those and almost lock them down once you have those available, so that maybe put them into a view group that only certain people can tap into, only your designers can tap into, something along those lines. So, well, thanks for the questions. I always look forward to interacting with you guys. Thanks for your time. Um, if you have any other questions, don't ever hesitate to contact me. And if you need to look at a demo, if we want to talk about concepts and more of a one-on-one, feel free to contact me. Here, let me put my contact. There's my email. Don't hesitate. So I always like to talk to you guys. If you have some challenges, we love to help you, overcome some of those as well.